Signing up took one tap. You saw a free trial, you were curious, and a single button turned curiosity into a subscription. Now it's 3 months later, you want out, and you're on the fourth screen looking for a way to leave. The button that started this took 1 second to find. The button that ends it is somewhere behind a survey, a discount offer, and a paragraph reminding you what you'll lose. Getting in was a doorway. Getting out is a corridor. That asymmetry is not an accident of engineering, and it is not the same thing as a difficult product. It is a decision someone made about how the two directions should feel. Today we're looking at why leaving a subscription is so often designed to be harder than joining one, and why the distance between those two buttons tells you more about the business than the price ever will. The pattern has a name. Researchers call it a roach motel, a design that is easy to enter and hard to leave. Regulators use a plainer word, obstruction, meaning any design that adds steps specifically to discourage you from finishing something you are allowed to do. Its close cousin is forced continuity, where a free or cheap trial quietly becomes a recurring charge, and the reminder that would have warned you never quite arrives. The important idea is that the friction is one-directional. Real systems have real friction. A bank asking you to confirm a transfer is protecting you, not trapping you. The question is who the friction serves. When every extra step on the way in is removed and every extra step on the way out is added, the difficulty is not technical. Canceling a subscription is mechanically easier than signing up for one. The company already has your account, your card, and your history. If leaving feels harder, someone built it that way. Open the exit and you can see the parts. First, distance. The cancel option sits a few screens deeper than it needs to, often under account, then membership, then a link that does not look like a link. Then persuasion. A page asking if you are sure, styled so the stay button is bright and the leave button is gray and quiet. This is confirm shaming. Are you sure you want to give up your benefits? A sentence engineered to make the reasonable choice feel like a mistake. Then delay. A retention offer. A pause instead of cancel suggestion. A survey about why you are leaving. Each step on its own has a polite justification. Together they form an obstacle course. One online learning service promised customers easy cancellation, then routed them through pages of promotions that led everywhere except the cancel button. Nothing here is illegal on its face. The design works precisely because every individual step looks reasonable. To see the full version, look at what the largest example cost. In September 2025, Amazon agreed to pay $2.5 billion to settle claims from the Federal Trade Commission over how it enrolled people in Prime and how it let them leave. Regulators described a cancellation path of 4 pages, 6 clicks, and 15 options, with reminders and offers placed along the way. Amazon had a name for it. Internally, the process was called Iliad, after Homer's epic about a war that took 10 years to leave. That is not a name a company reaches for by accident. The settlement was $1 billion in penalties and $1.5 billion returned to customers, around 35 million of them, with some receiving automatic refunds. The point of that number is not one company. Amazon has the resources to make canceling effortless. The flow was long because length was the feature, not a limitation. A cancellation process is one of the few designs a company can make worse on purpose and still call it user experience. When the exit is that elaborate, the elaboration is the message. It would be comforting to treat this as a single company's bad week. But the design is an industry. When Princeton researchers crawled roughly 11,000 shopping sites, they found manipulative patterns on more than 1 in 10 of them, and something more revealing underneath. At least 22 separate companies that sell these patterns as a service. You can buy a countdown timer that resets, a pre-check box, a guilt-worded button, the same way you buy a shopping cart. That means the trap is not always a scheme dreamed up in one boardroom. Often it is a default, installed because it works and because a vendor made it easy to install. This is why the same tricks feel familiar across unrelated services. The fake urgency, the pre-selected upgrade, the exit hidden 2 menus deep. You are not imagining the resemblance. Many of these interfaces are, quite literally, running the same playbook. None of this would work without a quiet ally, your own attention. A subscription is usually small enough to fall beneath the threshold where you would fight it. $7, $11, an amount you notice once and then forget monthly. It renews on a schedule you did not build your life around, so the charge arrives when you are thinking about something else. And canceling asks for effort now to save money later, which is exactly the trade our attention is worst at making. Research on these flows suggests the friction does not need to stop you. It only needs to make you postpone. "I'll cancel later" is not a failure of willpower so much as the predictable result of a system tuned to that sentence. The design does not assume you are careless. It assumes you are busy, and it is usually right. The cost of the trap is measured not in any single charge, but in all the months between meaning to leave and actually leaving. You might expect a clear rule to fix this, and for a moment there almost was one. The Federal Trade Commission wrote a regulation, informally called Click to Cancel, built on a simple principle. Canceling should be at least as easy as signing up. It was set to take effect in 2025. Then, days before it did, a federal appeals court struck it down, not by ruling that the idea was wrong, but that the agency had skipped a required economic analysis step in how it wrote the rule. The principle survived. The regulation did not. The Commission has said it will keep pursuing individual companies under existing law, which is how the Amazon settlement happened without the rule in force. So the current state is honest but unsatisfying. The specific tricks can be punished case by case, but the general right to a symmetric exit is, for now, not guaranteed. Transparency here is not a discount. It is just the same door working in both directions. Until the rule is settled, the useful skill is a test you can run yourself. Before you start a free trial, find the cancel path first. If you cannot locate it in under a minute, assume that is deliberate and set a reminder for the day before it charges. When you do want to leave, treat pause, remind me later, and keep my benefits as what they are. Detours, not exits. And apply one clean question to any subscription. Is leaving about as easy as joining was? If the two directions feel wildly different, the difference is the design, not your competence. Signing up should cost a tap. Leaving should cost about the same. When it does not, you have found the part of the business that was built to keep you, not by making the product better, but by making the door heavier. This is designed to spend. Your wallet has a user interface.